Hello everybody and welcome back. And I have a new microphone. I hope after 84 episodes it doesn't sound like I'm speaking inside a tin can anymore. Right, today is Lunedane, the 11th of Thalmont, and it is the evening. And the party with Taras have arrived back at the camp with the horses, plus a few extra. There's a sad tale that some of the horses got killed. And we met some refugees from a different town, Iliakana, and we've also learnt that Stephen, Piotr's brother, has been captured by the goblins, and, well, we hope that he is still alive. We're told in the book that Piotr has a kind of celebration feast for the fact the horses have been rescued. 2 people are died and his brother has been kidnapped. If my brothers had a feast and I had been kidnapped, I would not be happy. Well, let's just say there's some kind of muted celebration. And the refugees are given Hakos' old room above the stables to stay in. Maybe they can make themselves useful working with the horses. Right, so it isn't really a case of all's well that ends well, because there's a hell of a lot to do. This is where the adventure really kicks off. Because this chapter is called South of the River, and it takes place, unsurprisingly, south of the main river, and we have this entire area to explore. The DM is given some fixed encounters. These are W for wilderness, and there are also some random encounters to be dropped in as and when it seems fit. Some of these areas come with their own maps, like this. This is W10 Viper Goblin Lair. I'm sure we'll come across that soon. Here it is. And our party are going to have to do a hex crawl. We kind of did a grid crawl in the Keep on the Borderlands, where we just rolled randomly to check out places north, south, east or west. And it did work. We eventually did come across places. I think it works when you are able to get a bit of a view. So if you're here, you can see a radius. If every hex around you is blind, as it would be in a forest, then you've no landmarks to make for. And also, this is where we're going to have to get used to expert rules with wilderness adventures. Kind of getting travel underway. We know the speed that a horse moves at, and we have horses. That's exciting. That looks like us here. That'll be Carrick one day. No, actually, that'll be Carrick one day. Just not quite yet. We'll have to adopt all the wilderness rules regarding encumbrance and rations and camping out night and food, rest, water. It says encumbrance optional expert system. I will give it a go. And we'll see if it takes up too much admin. The other thing I'm not sure about the encumbrance rules is the way they have these things measured. A coin weighs 1 coin. A suit of armour can weigh up to... plate mail armour is 500 coins. I'm really not convinced that a bag of 500 coins weighs as much as a suit of armour. If you've ever worked as a cashier and you've had to work with a bag of 100 coins, you know you can hold it in your hand, and 5 of them is not the weight of a suit of armour. Even though gold coins, when they're dug up as treasure from, say, Roman times, actually they're not that much bigger, they're certainly thinner. I think I will change the coin weight to be 1/10 of that, so 10 coins equals 1 coin. And jewellery, therefore, will equal maybe 2 or 5 coins. I did work with jewellers for many years, and I've used some bizarre chemicals in my time, including some chemicals which have been banned these days. If you were to put a pair of earrings in your ear that weighed the weight of 5 coins, it would pull your earlobe off. So a lot of this encumbrance I think I will tweak, not to break the rules, but to make it a bit more realistic, and also to cut down on some of the admin. I don't want to be constantly checking to see how many gold coins we're carrying. We're going to rest overnight. Sylvia and Malin are going to learn read magic, so they can take whatever they need from Fjodril's spellbook. That was the elf we killed here, the horse trader elf. And I have made these. I know, they're ridiculous. And they're little spell books up to level 6. And I'm going to tick off all the spells that they have. I think this is the easiest way to do it. And I'm going to put an S. For example, Malin has Fireball on a scroll, and he can write that into his book when he reaches level 5, but he's keeping the scroll with him. So I'm going to put an S there to remind me. This is Sylvia, she signed it with her elven script. And this is Malin, and even though he's intelligent, he hasn't had much of a formal education in Threshold. So I will be keeping track of everyone's spells using this. I grabbed them off a website, I didn't want to type this in, and I think they came from Old School Essentials. So every level has 12 spells. That is not the same as you will find in the expert book, so there will be some spells here which will never be memorized. So after the celebration, everybody goes to sleep, and we are going to set off looking for Stephen on the next day, which will be Gromdane, the 12th of Thamont. But where do we go? I'm sure we'll work that out tomorrow. Right, it's Gromdane, the 12th of Thamont, and the weather is not looking good. It's moderately cloudy, it's rainy, it's cool, and there is a wind. Okay, well, it's not as bad, it could be worse. Heavy, stormy, and gales, and cold. But it's a day for wearing a cloak, and we are riding horses. We're all grown up, we're not dungeon crawling anymore. Well, not at the minute. Okay. And Piotr has given us some provisions, and I have now had to add to my DM admin or player admin, as I've written up what everybody's carrying and their encumbrance. Everybody's personal encumbrance is under 800, and that's their weapons and their armour, plus a few things like rope or a lantern. We've had to add rations to this. Everybody has 1 week of ordinary rations and 1 week of iron rations. The ordinary rations weigh a lot. They weigh 200 coins, which is roughly 30 per day. Clearly we eat like pigs. And the iron rations, I'm guessing, are dried, which is why they weigh, well, nearly a third less. And also, Sylvia and Liz are carrying 40 arrows each, and Tarek is carrying 30 bolts, and Donard has 30 sling stones. And Malin he's got a dagger +2, he's got 4 ordinary daggers which he can throw, and he's carrying 3 silver daggers which can be given to anybody should they need to attack a creature like a wight. So we have to take this going into the wilderness seriously. There's no more, oh, let's return to Threshold after we've done 1 day of dungeon crawling, or as in keeping the Borderlands, let's go back to the keep. Though for the first day we might not venture very far, because what we're going to do is we're going to check out all the homesteads nearby to see if we can find any news of Stephen. And the first one is Hokel, which is in the woods, and that is 9 miles away, and that's roughly 4 hours of travel through the forest. And Hokel seems to be a small logging community, and it's been burnt to the ground. There isn't much left of anything. We spend another 4 hours going to Cherkas, which we know from speaking to refugees, and one of whom was called Katerina, that it has indeed fallen, and it got treated much the same way as Sokuskin did. There was a raid, it was burnt, some people managed to flee, but in their case, the goblins overran it. So that brings us to mid-afternoon. And we have to cut through the forest again for 12 miles. So it's getting into the evening when we hit Iliakana, and it's by the river. It has got a riverfront to it, and this is where we're told that Stephen was last sighted. He took the ferry there. As we walk through the burnt out ruins of Iliacana, it's quite large. It's bigger than Sukuskin, which was just one palisaded settlement. This has got several buildings. And as we walk along the riverfront, we see, much to our dismay, the boat that we took ourselves to get to Misha's ferry point. Where is Captain Kalanos? Well, that is soon answered for us, as Captain Kalanos can be seen flitting amongst the ruins of the buildings. While we catch a figure who looks semi-wild, it's the only sign of life here. It might be a bandit, it might be a goblin, but we're convinced it's a human. And whoever they are, they might have information. So we go picking our way through the ruined buildings looking for this person. And sure enough, we find them sort of enclosed within two burnt out walls looking for us, and it is indeed Captain Kalanos, the owner of the ferry. And he does not look in a good way. In fact, he has gone mad. When the characters arrive, they see Kalanos wandering amid the scattered goblin and human corpses. He has armed himself but appears otherwise unchanged. When he sees them, however, he rushes off into the woods, screaming and striking trees with his axe. Kalanos is easy to follow, but shoots arrows at any pursuers and fights manically if cornered. Well, I described it slightly different. He's still within the ruins, and yet he looks like he's ready to fight, and indeed that's what he does. Okay, now we have tried to speak to him and say, we're friends, don't you remember us? He doesn't remember us. But there's a few moments where he's trying to remember us, even though we are vaguely familiar to him. But we back off slightly, and Carrick says, his mind is broken. We can't kill him. We have to find some way to subdue him. Well, they're going to try and knock him out with one good blow to the head. That doesn't kill him. Carrick is going to use the flat of his sword. Donard is going to use the side of his warhammer rather than the hammered end. He's got 22 HP, and if they manage to get 15 off him, I'm going to say he's knocked unconscious. He comes at us, and he does 1d8 damage. He's got an AC of 7, and let's roll for initiative. And it's mutual. I'll do him first. And he's going to attack Carrick. And he misses quite badly. Now this is our attempt to subdue him. Well, unfortunately, knock the guy unconscious. And yes, in one fell swoop, Carrick takes 14 points off him. He's down to 8. And Donard, yes, he takes him down to 1 HP. And I'm going to say that because they weren't using the damage parts of their weapons, he is now unconscious. Donard is going to try and cast a Cure Light Wounds on him. If he is captured alive, his madness can be cured by rest. Piotr's folk would look after him. I wonder if a Cure Light Wounds would also ease his mind. Well, it would also give him back a certain number of hit points. Donard is going to use up a Cure Light Wounds. And he does 6 points of healing. Kalanos is back up to 7. He's been tied up with some rope, and we have to wait for a couple of hours for him to come round. Now that will take us... Sun has set and night has set in, so we're going to camp amongst the ruins of Iliacana. And that is one day. Right, I'm going to pause for a minute to see if there are any nighttime encounters. As night sets in on Iliacana, the first encounter is bats. A small swarm of bats flies around us, and then let's do a morale check. And they fail their morale check, so we just swat at them and they fly off. Now, in the deepest part of the night, there is a different encounter, and there are 5 of us keeping watch. So I'm going to do a roll to see which 2 are on watch. And in order, we have Liz, Sylvia, Malin, Donard and Carrick. The scores are 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, etc. That's 7 and a 2. That is Liz and Donard keeping watch together. I think this was quite a cozy watch, you know. I think they sat around the campfire a bit too close to each other. Maybe they are able to be surprised. Or maybe we surprise whoever it is. There is no surprise, but blundering towards our campfire are 5 orcs. So it's on this first round, it's up to Liz and Donard to jump up and, well, defend. It's going to take 2 rounds for everybody to wake up and arm themselves. So other people won't be able to join in until round number 3. So in this first round, it's Liz and Donard versus 5 orcs. Let's see who has initiative. And we get initiative. I'm going to put Liz on her short sword. This is close combat. Now, some of these orcs have good HP and some are pretty dreadful. And, well, it doesn't matter, she misses. And Donard hits and kills the biggest of the orcs. Okay, now there's 4 left. That's 2 on Liz and 2 on Donard. Let's do the 2 on Liz. Right, now they have a tackle of 19. That's an AC 5. That does hit Liz indeed. Whoa, for 8 points of damage. And the 2 on Donard. Both of them miss. They need a 19 or a 20 to hit him. So that was round 1. Round 2, we get initiative. Right, the others have woken up and are arming themselves. I'll do Liz again on an orc. Yes, and she hits and she kills 1. And I'll do Donard on another one. He misses. Right, their turn. 2 of them are dead. I'm going to do a morale check. And it pulls up. So I'll do the 2 on Donard. They both miss. I'll do the 1 on Liz. Oh, I don't know, she doesn't ask for it, but Christ, if there's an arrow to be pierced with or a sword to be stabbed with, Liz takes it. So it's round 3 and everybody is up and in this fight. Who has initiative? It's mutual. Oh no, I'll do the 2 on Donard. They both miss. And I'll do the 1 on Liz. Ah, no, I should do spells first. And Donard is definitely going to rush up and cast Cure Light Wounds. Now, great. Well, it might save her life. Up to 8 HP. Right. Melee. And that orc hits her for 4. She's back down to 4 HP. So Donard has used up both his healing spells. There's still a Staff of Healing. Right. Now that was its go. Donard has gone. Liz is going to have a swipe. She misses. Sylvia is going to attack it. She misses. Carrick hits and kills the one that's on Liz. There are 2 left and they are both on Donard. Okay, so it's round number 4. And those 2 get initiative. And they both miss him. I'm so glad one of them wasn't attacking Liz because, well, I'm actually quite glad everybody else decided to defend Liz. So that was their go. Liz is going to back off. Let's do Donard. And that is enough to hit and kill 1. There's 1 left. It was born with 1 HP. Let's see if Carrick Orc Cleaver. That's enough to hit AC 5. They have AC 6. And indeed, he cleaves that orc. Okay, I think we're going to use the Staff of Healing on Liz. Oh, great. Right, she's got 6 HP. She also has a healing potion. I'm going to have to take that as well. Right, that's a bit better. She's up to 12. So we're out of healing spells and we've used up Liz's share of the Staff of Healing. Right, and that was the nighttime encounters. We have to get this poor deranged Kalanos back to Sakuskin. The healing spell worked somewhat, in as much as in he's no longer enraged, but he's still out of his mind. He vaguely remembers us, but he's lost that berserker urge to kill. He thinks that we've captured him because he's tied up. I think it will require giving him some food and some water to let him know that we're not here to capture him. Okay, now what is the day? So we're woken up, it's the morning, Sardine, the 13th Thamont. We've been here for 1 week and the weather has taken a turn for the worse. It's heavy overcast clouds, stormy rain, cold, and there's a wind. This is really inclement weather. Okay, we've eaten one of our rations. I will have to knock that off. Right, the party have woken up on Sardine, the 13th of Thamont. And we have tied up Kalanos, the ferryman. He's still not right in his mind, but he is no longer deranged or violent. But we don't want him to wander off because he's more likely to be some kind of harm to himself. And the weather today is terrible. It's heavy, grey, dark clouds, stormy rain, a wind, and it's cool. And here are the party sitting amongst the ruins of the wooden burnt out settlement of Iliakana. In the past, in say something like Keep on the Borderlands or Horror on the Hill, I would just say the party get up the next morning. But there is a proper routine, and now that we're moving into the expert rules and the trainer wheels have come off, Donard, Malin and Sylvia are going to have to learn their spells, and they're going to have to do that somewhere dry. Not only that, but we have horses with us, and while wild horses do live with the rain, they have our equipment with us, including our food. The first thing we need to do is find at least a couple of buildings that still have some kind of roof. And there is a barn that has lost a couple of walls and it has half a roof, and we move the horses under there while this stormy rain comes lashing down. And then we need to find somewhere for our spellcasters to meditate and learn their spells for the morning. Well, it's one of those burnt out places where some places have half a roof and some places have several walls but no roof. And indeed, Sylvia opens a front door to a house to find that there is no house behind it. But the house does have the remains of a porch and a veranda where we can at least sit and get the morning's business done, get food ready and memorise this morning's spells. Donard is going to memorise 2 heal spells and a bless and a hold person. Sylvia is going to memorise 2 charm spells and a phantasmal force. Malin's going to memorise the usual shield, sleep, a web and a phantasmal force. And while they're doing that for 1 hour, Liz and Carrick are going to walk about the ruins, turning over all the goblin bodies and all the human bodies to see if there is any clue as to where the goblins come from. Since Carrick speaks goblin, maybe there's a note in goblin language. And as they're walking around the ruins, Carrick says to Liz, "Are you still upset at not getting to live in Specularum?" And Liz just looks at the fact that she's got several wounds across her, and she says, "Yep." And Carrick says, "Well, are you not worried about all the crime and corruption?" And Liz says, "Well, there are corrupt people there, we did come across them. But I also saw thousands of people, if not tens of thousands, of honest, hard-working people who were making a life for themselves. And not everywhere was slum. We did see some really nice places where people were having a good life. So yes, I am pissed off that I'm not living in the city." And Carrick says, "But so far, we've rescued some slaves from the Iron Ring, and we've helped some people in Guido's fort from being overrun and slaughtered by hobgoblins like this lot here. And also, we've destroyed a cult of evil priests. Does all of this not tell you you're on the right path?" And Liz says, "Yes, this is good, but it just tells me that my way of earning a living is good. But do I want to do this forever?" Carrick shrugs. "Well, I'm sure there's an end point to it." And Liz says, "Well, why can't that end point be tomorrow?" And again, Carrick can only just shrug and say, "Well, we've got the soldier on. There are people who need our help." Oh well. Anyway, they don't find too much in the ruins to help them. By the time they're done, spells have been memorised, breakfast has been eaten, and the party are going to make their way to the last settlement here, which is called Silo or Silo, and maybe we'll go eastward to Sigeniev. We know where these are because the people back in Sakuskin have given us a moderate map of all the civilized settlements. And that is what will happen in this days of cold, wet, stormy adventuring, and I shall see you all next time.